down with Anja Bolbjerg, one of the 14 authors of this book, Turning Points, where each of the authors has shared an inspiring true story of how they've turned life's challenges into a driving force for personal transformation. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome. I'm happy to be here.
And thank you for sharing so generously in this book. Actually, Anja has shared two versions of her story that are not exactly the same. So if you happen to be able to read Danish, why don't you say it? I'm always saying vendepunkter. How do you say it?
Vendepunkter.
So we published this book at Make Your Mark Global, both in Danish and in English, Turning Points. So Anja, tell me, other than me being your brand specialist and inviting you into this project, why were you inspired to share your story and to share so deeply in such a personal part of your life?
I felt like this little story that I'm sharing has some lessons that people can benefit from hearing. And it was at the time, not a very pleasant experience, but something really good came out of it, I think. And that's why I wanted to share it, that not all the seemingly bad experiences are that bad.
Yeah. And I think, well, obviously that's what the entire book is about. It's about, these important milestones we reach in life where we could go down a very sad and miserable spiral, or we can use it as a turning point and transform. Without giving away anything, you start off by talking about what it was like to come to France and to be in this school system. And like you share this story about, asking questions and being confused about stuff. How were you able to stay positive and even see back then being teased about, well, you tell the story.
Well, this very specific story that you're talking about now is me as a teenager coming to a school, an American school. I'm from Denmark, and I had some language difficulties. And in psychology class, the word masturbate comes up. And I'm like, okay, what does masturbate mean? And got the whole class goes, did she really ask that question? And so the teacher starts explaining, and I know what he's talking about, but I just didn't know the word.
Yeah.
So, that's just a little experience of how being different is. I don't even remember how that relates to the rest of the story, but that's how it starts.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I think is obvious just from your career as this two-time Olympian and winning the World Cup and all of the crazy ski antics that I'm always raving about, seeing you But it seems like when we read your story, you've always had this ability to kind of dig deep. Does any of that come from your family? Like digging deep and finding a way to kind of push through, triumph, even when things feel bad, look bad, are bad?
Honestly, I don't really know, because it's not something that's been discussed in my family. We were just kind of living life as it comes along, not having the big spiritual discussions or anything like. Actually, not a very spiritual home. But I think it comes more from just trying to succeed in whatever I have, whatever situation I happen to be in. And to succeed, you gotta find solutions, and find solutions sometimes they're within. So I think that's more where it comes from. Mm-hmm. And being positive, maybe I've been gifted from, not gifted in talented kind of way, but just it's a lucky way that I happen to think about things.
Because not everyone is spontaneously positive.
I don't think it necessarily has to be spontaneous, but if you know that there's a way to be happy about things and try and pull that out actually or actively, then that's the gift, I think. That just knowing that there are different perspectives and different ways to experience a situation.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things that you share is about your ski career and the pivotal moment when you decided not to return home. I guess we can at least tell a little bit of it. I want you to get the full effect in the book, but talk to us about that.
Well, this is, we're sitting here smiling. This is the saddest time in my life that we're talking about now.
Yeah.
My brother died. He was, we were companions in the skiing and sports, and also really good friends, traveling around the world, competing together. And he got a cancer, and over a period of 2 years' time, it deteriorated, and he passed away while I was away competing. And I get the news when I'm in Canada, and somehow decide to not go back to the family, not go back to the funeral. And I say decide without really meaning decide, because it was kind of, I couldn't.
You couldn't?
Yeah.
So did you have a coach that was like, okay, Anja, your brother just passed, I guess we'll see you in a few weeks? And you were just like, no, I'll stay? Or how did that... Were there any conversations?
There were conversations. I don't really remember. Because what happened is I kind of got into this, okay, I'm on a mission here. I'm competing. I'm trying to qualify for the Olympics in a year. I've got things to do, and that's what I'm going to focus on. So I got into this zombie state where that was it. And of course crying and being miserable, but that was like my thing to hold on to. So I really don't remember a lot of details, but what I do remember and what I share in this book is about a month later, where my coach tells me, and you just look like a loser in everything that you do. You can't just look like a loser like that. It's whether we go to dinner or whatever. There's no way of competing like that. You might as well just go home and make pancakes for your boyfriend. Something like that, he said. And I was devastated. I was like, how can he say that to me? He knows what I'm going through. He had lost his mom not much earlier. And how can he be so crude and so insensitive? It's like he wants to kick on me while I'm lying down on the ground. And so that was my immediate reaction. But then being still in this, okay, so what do I do about it state? I thought, okay, well, we're on the same team, so I don't think he's doing it, even though it seemed like, I don't think that's the purpose of what he's saying to me. He's saying to me, if you change the way you look, I think other things will change. And that's how I chose to perceive it. And so taking that on me and say, okay, I do look like a loser. I feel like a loser. I just lost one of the persons that's most important in my life. So yes, I am a loser. But how about I try and change? He showed me a winner looks like this and like this, and I just felt like this. Yeah. I mean, but that would seem like so fake to all of a sudden start walking around, the training facility like, oh yeah, I'm a winner. Yeah, well, that's not how it happened.
Okay.
But it was like a wake up call, taking me out of the zombie state and say, okay, I have to do something myself to get out of this state and to move on. So after that, like today, I can thinking of being so insensitive and blunt. But I guess it could have had really bad consequences if it was not translated that way.
Yeah. I mean, I could see that would have pushed anyone else over the edge, into that downward spiral. So you used it as fuel. You started learning about body posture and how that could influence our mood and our energy. And what happened next?
Well, we kept traveling on to different competitions that I don't really remember. But as soon as we got back to Europe, and I had kind of come out of the zombie state, thanks to, in particular, these words that I looked like a loser, and I really didn't want to look like a loser. Because I'm, that's not what I'm here to show the world, and nor to feel inside. So taking that on me and saying, okay, I'm not a loser. I have things to do. I'm thankful for whatever has happened, even though it's, very, very, very sad. And it somehow took me to another level where I could use the way my body was communicating to me as a different kind of feedback, and communicate back to using it more consciously to achieve and to get out of that state I would just kind of flow into if I didn't do anything.
Mm-hmm. How have those lessons stayed with you, and are they still a part of what you do today?
Oh, definitely they're part of what I do today, because I think we all experience sad things and traumatizing things and losses, and whatever tools we have with us to deal with that are what's going to decide whether we go into deep depression or self-pity, or whether we take the lesson and take it a step further and grow with those experiences. So yeah, being aware of the messages you get, whether it be from your body, from a coach or a friend or family member, even though they might seem cruel or they might seem misplaced or incomprehensible. Try and just shift the angle and see if there's a message in there that you can use.
Mm-hmm. And what else do you hope that people will get out of the book, Turning Points, and your story in particular?
Well, I think that if you can tune in to these channels, then you have a way better chance of dealing with whatever life throws at you in a constructive way, instead of just letting it push you in whatever way the wind blows,
or knocking you down.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there you have it. I think what each of you has shared in terms of these stories are deeply personal, and not all of them are about tragic loss, but they each kind of hone in on the things that we as human beings are going to experience at one point or another. And I think one of the gifts of having the lessons brought forward is it can sort of inform us in our own time of pain or turmoil that there's life after it. Because I think when we're in the midst of suffering or going through some sort of loss or whatever drama, you can feel like, oh my God, my life is over. There is no life after this. But what you've shown is not only is there life after this, but there's, not just surviving, there's thriving. Mm-hmm. And you've been able to actually translate these lessons into what you do with clients on a larger scale. Yeah?
Yeah. I think understanding exactly what you say, that there are phases to everything, and accepting, well, right now I'm in this phase, but also knowing you can get out onto the next phase and onto the next is easier than to navigate in this terrain of feelings and emotions and incidents that happen. So I think that reading this book, and with all the very different stories of turning points in all the contributors' lives, just should give the reader a very good inspiration and hope for if they're in a critical phase of their life where they see like this is not, then these stories can help them move on. And I think for the people who are already thriving and having a good time, maybe they can recognize some past experience and realize, oh, that is why I'm thriving today, because this happened. Or so I think it can help people to get to know themselves better.
Yeah,
that's what I hope.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think because many people, when something bad happens in their life, I think for many of us, the initial reaction is to hide it, either out of shame or, fear of judgment. And what each of you have done is like shine a light on some really poignant times in life when many of us would have just been crumbling and hiding, and letting people in on that shared humanity. It's like we all go through these experiences, and by being able to see how you've processed it, it is inspiring.
And I think as these stories are very personal, what can also be not just hiding from yourself or putting it behind, but it can also be that you're trying to forget these stories and not bring them forward to protect the other people who are involved in that story. And you might actually be doing the opposite. You might prevent them from finding the lesson in what happened.
Or the gift, because in some of it is a gift. Well, thank you. Well, you can read Anja Bolbjerg's story in Turning Points, or Vendepunkter, if you read in Danish. So I'll put the link to the book where you can get your own copy, and maybe I can convince her to autograph one, so we can send you an autographed copy as well.
Sure, if you send me an email, I'd be happy to do that.
Okay, fabulous. Well, thanks, and I look forward to sharing more of our author interviews for this series. Bye.
Bye.
Do you have a message or mission that you want to share with the world? Then we want to talk to you. You can reach millions through the media. Get recognized with an authentic personal brand makeover. Publish your book, host a radio show or podcast, craft the perfect TED Talk, or launch your online course so you can have an extraordinary impact with your knowledge and passion to transform lives. Visit us at makeyourmarkglobal.com for a consultation.